Chapter 3. Ilyas. Let us read a short story by Leo Tolstoy about a man called Ilyas. There once lived a man called Ilyas in Ufa. Ilyas's father died after 1 year of Ilyas's marriage. He did not leave him much property. Ilyas then had only 7 mares, 2 cows, and about a score of sheep. He was a good manager and soon began to acquire more. He and his wife worked from morning till night, rising earlier than others and going late to bed. His possessions increased year by year. Ilyas gradually acquired great wealth. At the end of 35 years, he had 200 horses, 150 heads of cattle, and 1,200 sheep. He hired men and women to work for him. They tended his flocks, herds, milked his mares and cows, and made kummeez, butter and cheese. Ilyas had an abundance of everything, and everyone in the district envied him. Influential people heard of him and wanted to be acquainted with him. People from distant places visited him. He welcomed everyone and gave them food. Ilyas had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. He married them all off. When he was poor, his sons had worked with him. They looked after the flocks and herds themselves. But when Ilyas grew rich, they got spoiled. The eldest was killed in a brawl, and the younger one stopped obeying his father. So they lived separately. Ilyas gave his son a house and some of the cattle. This diminished his wealth. Soon many of his sheep died due to a disease. This was followed by a bad harvest, and then the Kyrgyz stole his best herd of horses. His wealth decreased, and he had to sell off his carpets, furs, saddles, tents, and the remaining cattle. His son, who had parted, went to a far-off country, and his daughter was dead. He and his wife, Shemagi, had grown old. There was no one to look after them. Their neighbor, Muhammad Shah, lived comfortably and was a good man. He had pity on Ilyas and remembered the hospitality of Ilyas and said,
Ilyas, come and live with me. Ilyas, you and your old woman. In summer, you can work in my melon garden as much as your strength allows, and in winter, feed my cattle. When you need anything, tell me, and you shall have it.
Ilyas thanked his neighbor. He and his wife began to work as laborers and did all the work sincerely. They found it hard in the beginning, but got used to the work. They were not lazy at all. One day, Muhammad Shah's relatives came to visit him from far. After preparing and offering them food, Ilyas finished the work. Muhammad Shah told one of his guests about Ilyas, and he said that he was aware of Ilyas and his fame. Then Muhammad Shah told his guest that the old man and his wife worked for him. The guest was shocked and said,
Fortune turns like a wheel. One man, it lifts. Another, it sets down. Does not the old man grieve over all that he has lost?
So the guest called Ilyas and his wife and spoke to them. Ilyas said,
If I were to tell you what is happiness and what is misfortune, you would not believe me. You had better ask my wife.
His wife said, My old man and I lived for 50 years looking for happiness and not finding it. When we were rich, we had no time to talk to one another. We spent much time looking after the visitors, getting work done from our laborers, and worrying about our cattle. Besides, my old man and I used to disagree. yell, and have a row. Now my husband and I live peacefully with nothing to quarrel about. We have nothing to worry about, but just think how best to serve our master. He works as much as we can, and we get food and clothes. We have fur to wear and fuel to burn when it is cold, and we have all the time to talk and the time to pray. At last, we have found happiness. The guests initially laughed, but soon realized that what Ilyas was saying was indeed the truth of life.